The animation opens up in Romania to a troop of fierce marching soldiers. They are marching up to cross through CLUJ-NAPOCA before getting to their base. The Major, also referred to as Anvil 1, evaluates the area for any danger and confirms that the area is undefended and that they need not protect themselves from the Federation attacks. Meanwhile, two soldiers discuss amongst themselves their eagerness to go home as they pass through CLUJ-NAPOCA, unaware of the lurking danger. They get attacked by some enemies who have prepared a perfect ambush for them. Seeing that his men are falling to their deaths, Anvil orders that they pull back to their defensive position. The dying soldiers in the frenzy call out for backup, and the Major immediately reaches out to their defensive aircraft to send down reinforcement and major air power to defend the team in battle. He asks that they send down the mobile suit. The mobile suits, also known as the ZAKUS, are operated by a team of jet fighters known as the Red Wolves. The Red Wolves, led by Alpha, try to deploy out of their fighter jets before it is eventually destroyed by the enemy's massive gunfire. They are able to initiate the mobile suit, bringing it upon land and successfully defending the helpless soldiers. Fortunately, they are successful with their counterattack strategy as they wipe out all the retreating Federation soldiers, marking the area as they spearhead their movement, leading the remaining soldiers through CLUJ-NAPOCA. Upon arrival, the soldiers look out for any lurking enemy as they secure their base. Upon sighting none, the Major requests that words be sent to announce that the base had been secured with no signs of the enemy. Just as the medic takes care of the injured soldiers, we can see the magnificent nature of the mobile suit. Although considered a weapon of war, it has also saved many lives. Captain Irai Solari alights from the mobile suit as her teammates praise her battlefield strength. She is also met by the Major. He applauds her for her bravery, saying that she and her team's contributions to their success will be duly noted as well as her reputation. He instructs the military technician to take care of the tanks and machines as they are to be ready for battle by sunrise. Although Solar and teammates who also rode the mobile suit don't think the Major appreciated them well enough, cause they literally saved their whole ass. Solarin reminds them that they are a team and respect should be due to the Major. Solarin also finds out that more supplies are on their way and every tank is prepared for battle the next day. The captain addresses the troops. He lets them know that they had made history by chasing out Earth's Federation operation in that sector. The whole troop commends the Red Wolves unit for their involvement in the victory, but the Major is quick enough to push aside the heavy jubilations. He acknowledges the efforts of the soldiers and the fallen heroes who had died in battle today. The Major continues by telling the troops to go rest, as reinforcements will arrive the following day to aid them in their course for victory. Later that night, we can see Captain Solarin and her teammates all warming themselves in the little fire they had made. They express their longing to go home, as they talk about the different allergies and bad air they take in every day. They share a bottle of bourbon as they all mock their service, saying they are only working for the paycheck. Solarin doesn't seem to agree with them, as she feels service is loyalty. Solarin looks bothered, and when asked, she says she doesn't have a good feeling about the whole fight and the place they camped. Chubbs, one of the lieutenants, laughs off the captain's worries and tells the others that the captain is only worried because of the haunted stories they've heard about the forests surrounding that area. The captain dismisses them, saying they should rest and get ready for the big task at hand. However, immediately at midnight, the soldiers suffer another surprise attack at the base, and this results in a quick fire between both enemy teams. Solari quickly launches the mobile suits at the command of the Major. They begin to fight off the enemies but are overwhelmed by the new machinery that is introduced by the enemy base. They are much stronger in advance with heavier gun power. Solarin tries to use a heavy bomb on them, but it doesn't even affect the mobile as it descends heavily on Solarin, destroying her ZAKU in the process. After the aftermath of the destruction, Solarin hops out of her mobile suit after it has suffered a grievous attack. She sneakily goes over to her teammate Lieutenant Lezin Zaku to find out if he is alive. She heads over to assess the damage done and finds out that Lieutenant Lezin is still alive and is just held up because of the ventilator system. As she tries to rescue him, she is stopped by an enemy tanker, but in the long run, the tanker is destroyed by a mobile suit, giving Solarin the chance to rescue him with the help of the troop's doctor. They rescue another soldier and make their way out of the base because they have been utterly defeated. Solari loses 2 of her soldiers to this gruesome attack, leaving her and Lezin, who is also referred to as Bravo, as the only survivors of her battalion. The captain leads the way to the parking lot, where the rescued soldier informed her that his unit would be regrouping. At the lot, they come across another troop, a different one, with their wounded soldiers. Solari engages with the lieutenant of another battalion, Lieutenant Haley Arhun, the 1st Armored Infantry. She tells Solari that her CO is at the back of a truck, lying unconscious and injured from head wounds. Solari suggests that they leave the scene, but Arhan expresses her fears and states that the truck could be an easy target for the enemy. Solari promises to protect the troops and offers to be a bait to distract the enemy. She asks for a volunteer, and Lieutenant Heaton Ardor volunteers to help in her plan. They help the soldiers and all plan to evacuate the area. They distract the enemy's mobile suit and make a successful exit. In the countryside, they find a roadblock filled with enemy tanks, but with no other choice, they decide to bust through it. Arhan is almost destroyed, but dramatically she is saved by Solarin and Lezine. With the heat coming down a little, they are stunned when they get hit by one of the enemy's mobile suit. To their dismay, they find out that the mobile suit has actually been following them all this while. Just as they decide to make a run for it, the mobile suit catches up with them. In a bid to smash them, they are saved by the Xian suit. Solari and her crew use this opportunity to try and flee the scene, while the Xians fight the deadly mobile suit. The enemy's mobile suit is able to use his saber-like weapon to destroy the Xians. In the next scene, we can see a flashback where young Solarin could be seen pushing a baby trolley with a baby inside, playing with a neck piece that has a clock-type pendant. However, there's a sudden earthquake and Solarin falls to the ground. She appears to be in a trance. She is surrounded by fire and sees a young boy standing on a clock. As the clock chimed 12, there happens to be another earthquake. Just then, the boy looks up and tries to grab her hands while calling out "Mommy." He fades away, while the deadly mobile suit appears, which immediately wakes Solarin up. She had been dreaming. The team reached Brigade Headquarters, Solara Primary Base, another base that had also suffered great destruction and attack from the enemy's suit. Just as they access the place, they suddenly engage in a gunfight with who they felt was the Federation unit, but they are surprised to see a Xian. She is terribly injured as she falls to the ground. She tries to tell them of the Fed's new mobile suit, but Solari and her team are first-hand victims of the mobile suit's cruelty. They agree to take her to a recycling facility which Lieutenant Heaton, the rescued soldier, had informed them about. On getting to the facility soldiers had to stop them for a proper identity search, but eventually helped the wounded soldiers when they saw that they meant no harm. The major of the base, Major Rolf Ronet, addresses Solarin, and they introduce themselves, but he maintains that Solarin and the injured soldiers find someplace else for refuge as the camp has more than enough mouths to feed. Solarin is disappointed, but they however see an old friend who is introduced as Captain Zydos, also known as Alfie. He greets Captain Solari and Lysine and asks about their other colleagues. He expressed sadness upon hearing that they passed away. Solari explained what had taken them out, and Alfie responds that the robots are called the Gundams and are built for massive destruction. He is also afraid that one day they will find their location base and hunt them down. The captain signals them to come have dinner and says he'll speak to the major to allow them to stay at the base. The next scene opens with them having dinner and talking about the events of the day. Just then, the Captain Alfie informs the troops that the Major has agreed to take them in. He lets them know that the Major isn't all that bad, and he is just trying to look out for his base. They talk about the war, and during the course of discussion, Solari gets distracted. She remembers her early life as she stares deeply into a family picture. She immediately comes back to reality when Alfie calls out her name. He preaches about independence and how they need to fight back against the feds that have oppressed them for so long. When Solari finds out that Captain Alfie and his team basic work is to strip usable military suits and recycle the rest, she comes up with an idea that they could build 1 or 2 mobile suits. Just then, she hears again the same sound she hears whenever the Gundam strikes and runs out to investigate. She informs the team that the Gundam is at close range and would kill them all if they had no defense plan. She tells Alfie to create 2 mobile suits from his recycled materials, and after pep-talking the mechanics, they agree and successfully build 2 mobile suits. The Major, however, is not happy with the development and tells Solari to stop the building. He storms off to stop them, and while still speaking, they come under attack by the enemy suit. Solarin obtains permission from the Major to use the suits which she got, and they fight off the Gundam, but this time the Gundam comes with a friend. The Gundams approach the base and are fought off by Solari and Lysine, also called Bravo. She tells him to brace for impact and make sure that the base does not get destroyed. The Gundams attack viciously, but Solarin, Bravo, the Major, and Heaton manage to keep them out of the base and nearly kill the pilot of the enemy's suit. At the base, the Doctor and Lieutenant Arjun speak. Arhan is upset about the destruction and states that she's now the only surviving member of the battalion. The Major is saddened by the turn of events and feels like he has let his troops down. Alfie encourages humans he gets his courage back. Back at the base, the Major tells his soldiers to arrest Solari and Lysine, blaming them for the mass destruction. Lysine cocks his gun to the Major in protest. In the heat of the moment, Major General Colonies comes in between their fight, praises Solari for keeping off the Gundams away from the base, calls her to the Major Rogan's office and tells her of another mission to get hold of one of the Gundams and meet him at Odessa. The team plot and find a way to infiltrate the Fed's camp. They come under attack by their fellow fighters who did not know they were fellow Zeons. In the camp, they camouflaged and acted like the Feds and had contact with the Gundam's pilot, a young boy who Solari had seen in trance but did not remember. They managed to infiltrate the camp and secure a Gundam, but unfortunately the enemy soldiers realizes that Solari and her team have infiltrated their camp and opens fire at them, and Lysian loses his life in the process with Solari almost losing hers. Solari is rescued. She's however in a trance where she's playing the violin to the scary cheering of the dead soldiers including her army. She wakes up patched, tired, and in pain. She asked the team where they were headed and Arjun responded that they were going to Odessa. At Odessa, they however face trouble with the enemy troops and Solari volunteers to fight them off. This is to the dismay of the other team, who inform her that she is almost close to home. Solari, however, is resolute and feels she owes the team and her team a duty. She separates from them and joins the fighting forces. In the battle, the other members of the team depart for home. Solari finds the Gundam, and as she engages in a battle with it, she tries to reason with the boy inside the suit to spare their lives. She knows the boy is not bad, but just a victim of war. The boy pours out his frustration how he hasn't seen home for a long time because her and her people keep coming back for war. Solari begs the boy to spare them and promise not to return to Earth ever again with her troops. Just as the boy lets his guard down, one of her men in a mobile suit who has no idea what is going on uses the opportunity to strike the Gundam from the back, killing the boy to Solari's disappointment. Solari is broken and decides not to go back home in space. She decides to remain on Earth and settle in Africa, where she will still fight the war. The deployment of the EFA mobile suits changed the course of the war. As Zeon forces were driven completely out of Europe and Asia, the movie ends with her telling a monologue about the effects of the war. All she wanted to do was go back home to her son, but now her resolution is to keep fighting for as long as there is a chance to give children a future without war. The end. If you enjoyed this animation, please leave a like and subscribe. Bye.